Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk Pilgrimage. I'm taking a moment to get out of the sun here in Jerusalem and to sit here in this shaded cloister with this window behind me. But what I want to talk about in this video is about wrapping up a pilgrimage experience, but ways that this applies to situations that we experience in life all the time. And I'm going to talk about what I call penultimate moments. Now, first of all, let's talk a little bit about how theology or spirituality works in terms of language and theories. It's all about, if we introduce language and vocabulary that doesn't connect with us, then it feels like a very foreign thing. But if we find the right concept, the right language, then it becomes a tool, it becomes a frame like a window, it becomes a ways of engaging the experience, it even guides to that. I believe once you hear me describe penultimate moments, it's going to become sticky. It's going to be something that you remember, and not only for your next trip, for your next phase in life, at the end of a senior year of high school, at the end of a job, at the end of a summer, things that you're waiting for. So the word penultimate, now it's not a word I use in everyday language. In fact, I must admit, as an American, I don't think I use that word much at all. I've spent 5 or 6 years in Britain, and I'm not saying Brits go around saying penultimate every other word, but I know I picked it up from my time living in the UK. And the word penultimate, if you're not familiar with it, ultimate means last, the final, and penultimate is the next to last or the second to last. So it will be used in sequences, in occurrences, and certainly in time. So in music, you might have the penultimate note or the penultimate measure. If you're in a contest, the penultimate is the next to last at the end of something. Over my adult life, both in terms of just moving from place to place, but also being involved a lot in short-term Christian communities, which I have a experience in terms of being a pilgrim teacher and guide here in Jerusalem, but also mission trips, summer camps, is short-term experiences. Just to take this example, have a rhythm, a gathering, the first day. Time in these situations can feel quite slow and quite ordered. And then you kind of hit the middle where things happen very fast. There's still meaning. That's really where the heart of the content is. And time towards the end, especially if we're intentional about it, it starts to slow down. There's meaning there. And then whether we like it or not, there's that transition to move on. We know that goodbyes, and we're going to have a video specifically about closure and saying goodbye to people and places. But goodbyes can be very emotional. They can be very exhausting. I might repeat this story again, but once I was in Africa and I was getting ready after a 2-week visit to Africa University, one of the African students there told me, he said, goodbyes are like death. We always know that they're going to happen, but they always catch us as a surprise. And sometimes that closure, that very final time, just feels too rushed, too exhausted. What the penultimate moment is the next to last cycle, the next to last occurrence, the next to last event that we're going to experience before the ultimate goodbye. Now, like I said, I'm going to transfer this concept to not everyday things, but episodic things that happen in our lives. If you're a high school senior and you're coming to the end of that, you've got penultimate months and weeks and days before you graduate, and all of those can be filled with meaning. If you know somebody else is leaving your community, your pastor, your priest, they're going through the same cycle. And so this sense of things coming down, if you're watching a television series and they're coming to an end, the penultimate episode is the next to last. We have this all around us. But in leaving Jerusalem or leaving a pilgrimage or being someplace, on a short-term experience for 6 months or 3 months, The penultimate is like the next to last time we're in worship. The next to last evening. And I think about how meaningful and full of images the next to last evening can be. So it's not oh, I've got to get up and get to the airport tomorrow, or are my bags packed? But it's going through a meaningful cycle. It's going through a meaningful event one last time. Whereas the final goodbye is full of emotion, it's full of exhaustion. We may not get our words out. We may not be able to fully soak it in. The penultimate is incredibly meaningful. It's leaning us forward. There can still be a sense of the bittersweet, even a sense of melancholy with it. But it's a sense of being a little bit more attuned to taking in the environment, the sensuous experience of looking and seeing and smelling and hearing. And then it leans us in to the final goodbye. In no way do I want to take meaning away from the actual goodbye, from the actual point of departure. But the penultimate cycle, the penultimate night, the penultimate gathering with somebody, the next to last time we're at an important or fun cafe. These are times that we can experience life in its fullness and its blessing. And it can be the penultimate moments, even more than the goodbye, that months and even years later we look back on. And we see it as that treasure of gold, that conversation with somebody that we know we're not going to see much more, but it's not quite the finality of it. So think about the penultimate moments. I would love for you to comment in the comments below. But one, what do you think about the concept? Does it stick? What do you think about the word penultimate? Do you have other experiences and contexts of when you use the word penultimate, and next time you're on a retreat, a summer camp, a travel experience, or some episode in your life? How do you process the next to last time that you're going to see somebody, experience someplace, or go through a particular activity? So that's us. We've talked pilgrimage from Jerusalem. I'll see you. This is not our penultimate video. We have more to come. See you soon.